Hello, and welcome to episode 0 of the Bigfoot Collectors Club. I'm your host, Michael McMillian, and joining me is your other host,
Bryce Johnson.
Hi, Bryce.
I tried to be so cool.
That was a really cool...
Thanks.
You got a good radio voice.
Oh,
We're
thanks.
already coming out strong. So this is a podcast where we discuss weird stories of high strangeness from the pages of paranormal history. UFO abductions?
Yes.
Yes. Ghostly encounters?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we got them. Astral projection?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, why not? But wait a minute, guys. What about serial killers?
Mm,
Nah,
nope.
not weird enough.
No.
I mean, weird.
Yeah, but not our thing.
Not our thing.
Not our bag.
True crime?
No.
No, that's not our thing. Conspiracy theories?
Mm,
Depends on whether or not they were orchestrated by reptilians.
yeah, that's true. And even then, it's a little sketchy.
Yeah. I mean, really, we're the reliable
I
witnesses.
love the news reporter footage where they do like, you're like, that is not
Oh,
reptilized.
we're gonna get there. We're gonna talk all about that at some point. So here on this podcast, there'll be monsters, phantoms, goblins, aliens, ghosts,
Yes.
and of course, Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Sasquatchy.
Yeah.
Is that the plural for Sasquatch?
Sasquatchai.
Sasquatchai.
I think so.
Oh man, see, this is
Yeah.
why I'm doing this podcast with you. Now, if it sounds completely unbelievable, we're going to talk all about it because here in the Bigfoot Collectors Club, we don't want to believe.
We already do.
We already do.
Yeah.
So sit back, relax, and join the club on our inaugural episode, Origins.
0. All right.
All right, here we go. This is our first episode.
Segment 1.
I know. So listen, we're going to tell each week we're going to tell lots of cool, once a week. I mean, each week we'll tell one story.
7 nights a week.
7 nights a week.
We're going to bring you
Guys,
a new
we're
story.
already, this has become 24-hour news cycle already, right out of the gate. Bryce, it's good to sit down with you. Finally, we've been talking about doing this podcast for a few months now.
It's true.
Bryce and I met each other years ago on an episode of a TV show that I used to work on called What I Like About You.
That's right. You wrote that episode.
And I wrote an episode, which was crazy, and Bryce came in. It was one of the rare occasions where I got to be an actor sitting in the room casting.
That's wild.
And we picked you because you were so good.
I love that.
You were perfect for the role.
Aw.
And then so years pass,
Yep.
and both working as actors in L.A., and then we got cast on Major Crimes together for TNT.
Yeah, that's right. It was a funny episode, too. But then we immediately connected and started talking about UFOs and things we watch and read, and it was
I
like...
think it was
on.
because I had recently seen Willow Creek.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
Which is a movie that Bryce is in. If you're listening to this podcast and you have not seen Willow Creek, you got to check it out. It's like the best Bigfoot horror movie.
That's what we set out to do.
Yeah, it's like part
Thank you.
documentary,
Thank you.
part
Yeah,
horror. Because there's some real interviews in that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, Bobcat Goldthwait directed, and he got the right guy because he called. I'm a Bigfoot aficionado. I love that stuff. So when he called me,
This is why we're doing this.
yeah, I know. I said you got the right guy. The script was mostly a skeleton, and we tried to work in a lot of great Bigfoot lore. And you know, you've done a lot of work, Mike, and so have I. And it's like there's a lot of stuff I'm not proud of, but that's
Sure.
that's like one
We've
of those
seen
things.
some of those photos.
I know. And that's like that's one of the things I'm really, really proud of.
It's a really cool, really well done movie. It was one of those that I didn't realize that you were in it when I was watching it. I was like, well, Bobcat Goldthwait directed this. This looks rad.
Yes.
And it's about Bigfoot. And, you know, Willow Creek is where the Patterson-Gimlin film was shot.
Yeah, that's right. So Willow
Back
Creek
in the
is
late
like
60s.
the gateway into Bigfoot country, where the Patterson film was. They just had their 50th anniversary.
That's really cool.
Isn't that
Was
incredible?
it 67?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, October 20th, 1967.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I've been to Willow Creek. It's awesome. You have to get off the freeway up there in Northern California to get there. But it's a beautiful drive through the mountains. And it's a city full of like giant Bigfoot statues and murals. And I love it. It's like definitely a cryptid. If you're a cryptid fan, it's definitely one of the cryptid meccas you gotta
I'm
go
gonna jump
visit.
in there because you said you drove out there to see it. Do you do that often, or do you ever go to like mystic places or like strange
Yeah,
make
definitely.
those road trip stuff?
Basically, many of my road trips are based on checking out some of those
We
spots.
have to do that.
I know. Well, see,
We could take this on the road.
I have a buddy who lives back in Kansas City, where I'm from, David, And he and I have gone to Area 51. We've gone to Roswell, which was incredible, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that later in this podcast. And then Willow Creek, and just, we try to hit places in and around, especially California and the Southwest, where we know there might be some weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
Sedona, Arizona.
Yeah.
There's like tunnels to the underground there.
I have a book written
UFO
by,
sightings.
He's that UFO hunter guy, but he put a book out of strange places.
Oh.
So it literally has dots on all the maps.
So that's the coolest.
Pick it off,
But so Bryce, you obviously, when you shot Willow Creek, and you did play Bigfoot in that movie, didn't you?
Did I? No. You know who played Bigfoot was Bobcat. And during that tent scene, half of me is trying to play afraid and be serious. The other half of me is like imagining Bobfoot because he's half naked, running around with a big stick, hitting trees, going. And so I just imagine he's like a 12-year-old boy right now. He's like running around the woods, pretending to be Bigfoot, and I gotta be scared.
If America found out that Bobcat Goldthwait was like part Bigfoot, or raised by, it would kind of make sense. I mean, he's a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
I also think Sasquatch are pretty Sasquatchy.
It's
are
true.
Pretty brilliant.
I got to touch on that scene, too, because, it's like...
For those of you who don't know, there's this really great, and I'm not going to give too much away, but there's a really scary scene where Bryce, who plays a documentarian, and his girlfriend are in a tent in the middle of the woods outside Willow Creek. And it is one of the scariest scenes I've ever seen in a movie.
Oh, thanks. Even I look at it and go I don't know if I want to go camping again. It's like...
I actually will not go camping because of that movie.
And you know what? Bobcat said, I remember him saying, he's like, first of all, anybody can go into the woods with a camera and try and shoot a movie, but this man has such vision. I remember him saying, I really want to set out to do a really long scene. I want to challenge just to see what I can accomplish, And literally, we only did 3 takes. And each take is like 18 to 20 minutes. And it's just, it was such an incredible experience. Just being in it that long, you actually start to I was just incredible. But
I mean, what I love about that scene is you can tell you're really listening to the sounds in the woods.
Yes.
And it's so effective. It's great.
Yeah.
So anyway,
awesome.
Check out Willow Creek if you haven't already.
Totally.
Bryce is great in it. It's a great movie. But when you said earlier when you got cast in that film, you were already a Bigfoot or a paranormal, I would branch out and say, fan. When did you get into stuff? When did you get into this material?
That's a great question. So, and it's a specific moment in my life. I remember feeling that there was other things outside of this world than what we're kind of privy to. Should I jump right in and do it?
No, I'm just I'm just little anecdotes. Like when you were a kid, were you?
Well, it's one specific story, really.
Oh well, then we better take a break, and we'll come right back and tell your story.
Yeah.
In a minute. You're listening to the Bigfoot Collectors Club, and we're gonna come right back with Bryce's story. Welcome back to the Bigfoot Collectors Club. Okay, so each week we are going to tell one story from paranormal history. We might talk about the Roswell incident. We might talk about the Patterson film. Those are some well-known ones. We're also going to get into some more obscure stories. But since this is our inaugural episode, this is like our prequel episode, we're going to kick this whole thing off by telling 2 weird stories, one each from our own lives, that kind of clue the listener into why we're connected or what keeps us connected to the world of the paranormal. So, Bryce, you were just mentioning a moment ago that you have an encounter in your life, that something happened?
Yeah, for sure. It was very strange, right? So I think I was 5 or 6, right? My parents had just gotten divorced, and I had moved to Denver with my mom and older brother. I remember us being in this cul-de-sac. We had this house. It was a new house, and so I didn't know a lot of the kids. But for some reason, they all had gathered over on our driveway, and, we were starting to talk, a couple of the neighborhood kids and us. And
so this is a real Stranger Things setup.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, totally. Right. And
you're all on your BMXs.
Yeah.
You're wearing your puffy vests.
No, and I think
one of your buddies doesn't have his teeth yet.
I wish. One of the older kids, I think, he brings out, I don't remember if it was a Ouija board or some kind of board game or something. something I had never seen before. And anyway, I remember next my mom kind of coming from the gardening and seeing what we were doing and kicking everybody out, and she was like, "This is, don't do this around here."
Had he like drawn a pentagram on
No,
the
it was some
sitting
sort
you all
of
down?
it was some sort of like
Each point of the star.
board game or Ouija board. It was just and he was like speaking like dark art shit or like whatever, right? Like summoning
So this
demons.
kid was like straight up
totally.
wizard.
Yeah, I think there's probably one in every neighborhood.
This is a wizard family.
Wizard. He wishes he was a wizard. He was just a dude probably trying to summon the devil so he could get laid. But anyway, right? So my mom kicks everybody out.
I mean, if I were a 12-year-old kid,
yeah,
and I could summon the devil to like get laid, that's all I would be doing.
Yeah, oh, totally. Me and the devil getting laid.
Yeah.
So
stupid kids.
My mom kicks him out, and I don't really think anything of it until I'm in bed that night, and my brothers, we had a bunk bed. My brother slept above, and I remember I just couldn't sleep. I was kind of laying on my back, and I had my eyes open, and then I had this feeling that something was about to happen, and then it really did. In my window, because I'm looking right out my bedroom window, this what looks like red, blurry kind of like thing with yellow eyes. So it crosses into frame, it stops, and it turns its head, and it peers those yellow eyes right into my soul before looking away and just walking back off.
Whoa.
I didn't sleep that night. I was too afraid to ask my brother if he saw it. Paralyzed, just absolutely paralyzed with fear. And I think I remember asking my brother about it, and he didn't say anything about it, so I don't think he saw it. But something, and looking back, I was maybe it was those kids or something, but I specifically remember like a glow to it or something, like a very like an energy, a dark energy,
Right.
But that was it. That was the start of it, and then from there on, I've always been a spiritual seeker too. So, I grew up in a Lutheran school, but I never really bought into the ideology. So I've always been looking for answers. I'm a seeker, and so I think that really set me on the path to what is out there. Who are we? Where did we come from?
Why do all these things show up at windows? That's the creepiest thing ever.
Yeah.
And I also have a story that is very recent that I have not told you this story yet. And
oh my gosh!
Lose your mind.
You should tell me right now.
I'm going to. But I was not a kid. Like I said, it was recent. I was a grown man.
Mm-hmm.
And I had another witness, which was my dog.
Oh my God!
So listen to this. Normal night. I'm asleep in my. I live in an apartment on the ground floor, and my bedroom is at the back of the apartment. And then when you first come in, this is kind of important. This is tedious, but when you walk through the door of my apartment, there's a window at ground level just to your right. So if you're walking out of the back bedrooms, you are facing this window that looks out basically into a driveway that runs alongside of the building. There's like 8 or 9 units, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm asleep, and I wake up because I hear my bulldog, Albie, who is sleeping on the couch in the living room near that window. I hear him growling. And it wakes me up in the back bedroom, and I'm just listening to him growl for about 10, 15 seconds, waiting to see if he chills out. I'm just worried about waking up the building if he starts barking. And I have another dog, a terrier, who was sleeping with me, and she perks up. She starts growling. And my buddy who lives next door to me works on film and TV sets. He's a key AD. And I knew that he was shooting until about 5 in the morning. I looked at the clock. It's around 4 a.m. And I thought, well, Kyle's probably coming home. And he just woke Albie up. But Albie starts doing his intruder bark. And he knows Kyle. And then Violet shoots out of bed, and she starts barking as soon as she gets in the living room. And now I'm just jumping out of bed, trying to shush them because I don't want to wake up my neighbors. These dogs are going apeshit.
Wow.
So I walk out into the living room, and Albie is standing on my couch staring at the window. Violet, my other terrier, so I actually had 2 other witnesses, she's staring at the window, barking her head off. And at the window. The curtains are drawn, so I just have a silhouette. There is a silhouette of a figure peering in through the curtains into the living room. And I kid you not. And this is a guy who started a podcast about the paranormal. I'm always ready for something strange. But the figure in this window had a sort of heart-shaped head, where if the heart was smooth on top, instead of two lumps, it's just like this sort of diamond heart-shaped teardrop, inverted teardrop-shaped head, and has a long neck about as thick as this microphone.
Wow.
And I think to myself, not even scared, I go, that looks like an alien.
Right.
Just like my brain is like, that looks like an alien.
Right.
Not scared. Just like it's so on the nose, looks like an alien gray silhouette. And as soon as I thought that, the being at the window turned its head, and I could get a better glimpse of its profile, and it looked like like a golf. I don't know golf clubs very well. I'm not a big golfer, but it was like a golf wedge.
Yeah.
Where I could get a better view of the silhouette and the neck attaching at the back of the skull, not the base of the skull. And it moved super fluid. It wasn't stiff. It moved like a person would move. But it looked like straight out of a Steven Spielberg science fiction film. It looked exactly like the entities that come out of the spaceship at the end of Close Encounters. Like dead on, like so on the nose.
Yeah.
Obvious alien shape. I immediately go, whoa! And I flip on my light and the thing takes off. So this has all happened in the span of about 30 seconds. Dog growling, uh-oh, don't wake up. Bark, bark, uh-oh, everyone barks. I walk out, oh, that looks like an alien. It moves its head. I freak out, turn on the light, it takes off.
Yeah.
And I immediately dash down onto my, I know, this is insane. I've told this story. It's insane.
How long ago was this?
This was 2 summers ago. And get this. This happened within a week of driving out and coming back from Roswell, New Mexico. How crazy is it? And if the dogs had not seen it, I would have thought I was hallucinating.
Sure.
But I was totally sober.
Yeah.
I had just woken up. I was not expecting to see this, and it looked like a special effect from a movie. So I go out onto the porch. I can't see it. It ran toward the back of the property. And as I'm on the porch, my buddy Kyle steps outside, the one who I thought was coming home. He steps out on his porch. At the time, he was smoke cigarettes. Don't do it, kids. And I look over at him and I go, did you just get home? What, because I'm trying to rationalize what I just saw. And he goes, no, I've been home for an hour. And I go, dude, there was I didn't tell him at the time. So I just said there was someone staring in my window. Mm-hmm. And he looks at me and he turns white. And he goes, that's really scary. And I go, why? And he goes, because I've been home for an hour now watching Netflix in the back bedroom. And he's like, I could not shake the feeling that something was watching me, that goosebumps. Something was with me. And he goes, I kept taking off my headphones and looking around the apartment because I felt there was something with me.
I feel like we're being watched right now.
We might be, dude. Goosebumps.
Yeah, I know, me too.
How crazy is that?
You ever feel like that? Like maybe it works like an antenna. I mean, guys like us who put out a signal or who are able to receive a signal, that there might be some sort of connection there.
I think there could be, and I think that
people who are open-minded.
Well, look, here's the thing that I have to say: if this stuff exists, ghosts, Bigfoot, aliens, interdimensional beings, whatever they are. If that stuff exists, and I, again, believe it does, then
I believe you believe it does.
I believe, you believe, I believe. No, but there has to be some system as to how this all works or how we can see these things or why we can't always see these things.
Sure.
We don't know. I'm very agnostic about all of it.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot we just don't know about reality.
Well,
we think, we have height, space, and width. We live in the third dimension.
Yeah.
We experience time as it happens, beat by beat, literally, or linearly. But I think that there's a whole other side to reality that we just don't know about, and we don't know how it works.
Well, there is, and I think how I work my life philosophy is I enjoy the question, right? I don't even need to have the answer. Life to me is a mystery, and this world is so mysterious. This universe is so mysterious. Even our own consciousness is so mysterious that I wouldn't want to live in a world without mystery. And so for me, I love the question, and I don't know if we'll ever get to an answer. And I think the more that you can be okay with like not having a solid this is my understanding of what's happening, then you can be really like let your feelings kind of interpret maybe what it is we're experiencing. On that note, that's a beautiful sentiment. But guess what? It's time for our next segment called "What the Hell Was That?" And we're back.
You're back with Bryce and Michael. It's the Bigfoot Collectors Club. Oh my God.
That's so fun to do.
Just delete this podcast. All right, so we're back. We just told two strange encounters.
OG stories.
One was OG. One happened to me a couple years ago.
Right.
And now we're going to take this time to unpack it a little bit and figure out what the hell was that?
Oh, yeah, right. Great.
I know we just said we don't need to question things, but for
we're gonna
fun,
do it.
for fun, let's question it. So you encountered a red glowing being with yellow eyes.
Yes, and
appearing in your window.
Here's what I didn't mention.
Oh,
is that do you remember that?
You're leaving out important details.
Yes. Do you remember that?
Your story's changing. Now I'm starting to.
No. I'm getting into more of the detail.
Yeah.
Do you remember the tuna can with the red devil?
Yeah.
It looked very much like that.
Wait, I'm gonna Google this right now as you're talking about it.
So there was a tuna can with the red devil.
This is the stuff I love.
And
These
so
details really bring these stories to life.
Is this my consciousness like projecting this image on what I had experienced with these young kids in my driveway earlier? That doesn't explain the glow, or that creepy feeling I had before it even entered the window.
This guy?
Yes.
Whoa.
Are you creeped out just by looking at it?
Deviled ham, blind pig, and the acorn. What am I reading here?
Yes. But it was
Underwood. It's the Underwood logo.
I'm getting bro. I'm getting like goosebumps
That's
just looking
creepy.
at it. But it was very much like that, and it had the horns too. I'm not even kidding, and only the eyes were yellow, and they peered into my.
That's funny
soul.
that you said. Yeah, that's funny that you said that because when you were talking about it, I was picturing something almost sort of animated or two-dimensional because of the shape it must have been.
Mm-hmm.
That's so creepy. So what do you think?
Well,
come on,
it could have been that boy with a mask. It could have.
You said he was glowing.
Maybe that was my interpretation of what happened.
What if it was the boy? Okay, so we already know this kid
had like some dark arts game board or something.
Yeah,
I want that game board.
He was a dark
now.
arts player. And could it be that this kid astrally projected himself?
Let's call my mom right now and ask her if she knows anything about it.
What?
Right? Like, would she?
Can we get her on?
Yeah.
No, but do you think it could? Real quick before we bother your mother, do you think that it could have been like the kid's projecting his like soul and coming to stare in your window, or
maybe like because they were kicked out? I think my mom was pretty explicit with them.
I think your mom was pretty too.
And so, thank you. And so, but I think she kicked those boys out. I don't think he liked that. And so maybe he like sent something my way.
Yeah, or
like
in the short time that you guys had been goofing around with this Ouija board, you contacted something.
Yeah.
And it showed up to be like, hey, you guys called me.
Yeah.
And now you're sleeping. What are you doing?
Yeah. No
come
doubt
on.
about. Well, I just remember it like, I mean, obviously it had a big impact on my life. I remember it so vividly today. So if a boy can do that with a mask, then
then it's a gift.
Then it's a gift.
He really gave us a gift. But now you're like you're selling yourself short. You're saying there's a kid in a mask?
I don't know. No.
You know whether or not it was a kid in a mask.
Yeah, well, okay, I
want to know
to
what
add
you
to the story,
think it was.
Okay, so my older brother and I, we went to a Lutheran school called Gethsemane in Denver. And later that year, my brother had experienced something down the aisle of the church, what he interpreted as like a red bull, like a red glowing bull, and that really spooked him, and there it is, that red glowing thing again. So I don't know what that is.
Maybe it's like an entity that is native to your town or your neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, what do you think it might have been?
I don't know. I think it was. If I'm using, I'm using my imagination here. I think you guys caught something's attention, and it's probably some sort of interdimensional being.
That is right out of Strange Things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it was like a.
Except my guy was a tuna guy, and not a flowerhead monster guy.
It's not the Demogorgon, but it's some kind of entity. Yeah. Or if that kid was and his family were into some freaky stuff, they might have like a, what they call like a familiar, which is a spirit that follows that family around, and maybe he just came over to check things out.
Let me blow your mind a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm so thankful that happened in my life. I'm so thankful that thing visited me, because to that day, I have been asking questions that probably a normal kid wouldn't want to know the answers to. You know what I mean? And that has driven me. And so I'm so grateful for that incident, in a sense.
Right. Yeah, it's creepy. I don't know, man. I think it was. Look. There's always it could have been your imagination. It could always, we can always just fall back on that excuse. But if we're gonna run with it, I think that maybe something otherworldly, not
other dimensional,
yeah.
Well, and we'll talk about it in later podcasts too, and we'll get into more of my
we're just the tip of the iceberg here.
I know, because we can't really crack paranormal philosophy because I have feelings towards projection and conscientious sort of whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
That's probably for another episode.
Got it.
But let's talk about your thing.
Well, also similar incident. Yes. Something appeared at my window at night, and I feel like if you were listening to this, you have definitely experienced something. Okay, it's late at night. We're asleep.
Right
we're
around
dreaming.
That golden hour, 3-4 a.m.
There is something. It's like one of those old. I feel like.
Do you ever look at the time 3:33?
Yes, man.
There's something odd about that time.
Okay, so I wrote a comic book called
I make
Lucid.
wishes on it, like in
11:11.
At PM, I'll make a wish on it if I see it.
Yes.
And at AM, I feel very creepy about it.
Yeah, well, I actually wrote a comic book called Lucid, which is available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com.
And it's wonderful. There's
a scene. There's a 3:33 a.m. reference in it. There's a scene where he wakes up, the main character, and there's something going on, and the clock says 3:33 a.m. So it is a weird. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like at nighttime and in certain times of year. And my encounter took place around summer solstice when Midsummer Night's Dream takes place, and that's a play that's all about how at midsummer the realm between the human world and the spirit world, where all the fairies are hanging out, is very thin, and the fairies can cross over during that time of year and interact with humans. Now, this is obviously parts of fairy tales and folklore and stories, but there could be some truth there that maybe certain times of day, certain times of night, certain times of year, these worlds are just the wall between the worlds are a little thinner.
Yeah.
And what I saw was definitely a physical being. It moved very naturally, like a biological creature.
Well, I pick up.
It definitely was not a person. I know that. I actually had a friend the next night stand outside my window so I could see and it was a completely different shape and figure. This was something that was it was small and skinny. It was like 3 feet peering into my window.
Let me ask some questions. I'm very interested in the fact that it was right after you had visited Roswell. There might be some sort of a connection there. And first of all, this is not your first paranormal experience?
I have, and I won't get into now, but I've definitely seen a ghost, and I have seen strange lights in the sky for sure. I think that's pretty common.
But I'm always looking up.
I've never, I know.
I spend a lot of my day looking up.
I think if you do, you're going to see a lot more things in the sky.
It's just
you're not going to see what's coming your way on a sidewalk.
Right.
You're going to miss a lot of lucky pennies.
Right.
But no, this is This was by far the most surreal experience I have ever had because I could not put it into context. I could only go with the brief information I was given in that window of time.
Sure.
So I thought, this thing looks like an alien. I saw it move, so I got a little bit better look at it, at its anatomy, which was not human.
Yeah.
So I saw that. So I put it into the quote-unquote alien category. It looked like an alien gray. My dog saw it, so it wasn't something in my mind. And then it took off, so it didn't want to be seen, and it moved very quickly. So I thought, okay, I'm not supposed to be seeing this thing. It wasn't coming to make contact with me.
Right.
So I caught a glimpse of something that I normally would not be allowed to see.
Yeah.
That's the way it felt.
What I love about your story is so we're both actors, right? And we look for truth, and truth can always be found in the unexpected. And when your original reaction is, "Oh my God, that looks like an alien," you know what I mean? That's only something that happens if it's like really happening. You know what I mean?
Happening in real time, and because you think about these things and you think like, well, weren't you immediately scared? No, because I didn't. Yeah. I even saw the shape of an alien in my window and didn't believe it. Yeah. I didn't believe it until it moved, and I went, now that's when I went, well, I think I actually went, holy shit, and I turned on my light, because then when I saw it move, I knew I was seeing something strange.
Do you know have you ever read Stan Rosenthal? I think he's from Colorado, but he put out a book. He had a lot of strange...
That's not the DMT guy.
No. He had a lot of strange visitations from like creatures looking in his window. A lot that he captured on film and video. Now his case is somewhat.
Wait a minute. Is this the guy that there's that Netflix movie about?
I'm not sure. No, not the one you shown me. I loved that one.
No, there's another guy who's
I have
recently...
the book, though. I should show you the pictures because in it, little grays are looking in his window.
If this is the guy I'm thinking of, he has a Netflix special, and a lot of that stuff got debunked. And I don't know if it's this guy.
It's a pretty debunked... it's a pretty controversial case. I mean, but then again, with the windows, it's just... I
don't know. It's weird. So, I don't know. So, here's the other thing. Unlike traditional alien encounter stories, I didn't experience, to my mind, missing time. I didn't experience any bright lights. There was nothing in my apartment. I don't believe I was taken or anything like that. Right. So it was an alien gray without a lot of the usual phenomenon. Also, I live in Hollywood. I mean, it's
a busy street.
Yeah, and so you would think that's also strange. These things usually happen in rural areas in my imagination.
What if it's this? What if it's some black team that who survey people visiting Area 51 or stuff like this, and they want to spook civilians who
Oh, so you think this is like a man-made?
Maybe, yeah. Stephen Greer, he puts out a lot of theories that's kind of like there's this secret cabal of people who who are throwing people off the case by using grays to what I mean, that so
but I don't know, because here's the thing. I went to Roswell with my friend like a tourist.
Yeah, and can I just preface for our podcast listeners, we're just two guys, man. It's we read a lot of cool stuff, but I don't remember a lot of the details.
No, I don't either.
I
don't either.
I
can't remember what the name of the guy from that Netflix thing. Yeah. We're in good company here.
Yes.
And you know what? We'll once we get this up and running, we have a website and everything, we can always throw up references of things that we're talking about. And you know what, guys, you can Google it too at home. Okay? Yeah. Look, we're just having a conversation here, all right?
That's all.
I'm so defensive. It's because I'm seeing aliens. And now you got me worried about Black Ops teams coming to get me. No. But I went to Roswell. I wasn't like breaking in any. I went on a tourist trip.
Right.
So what are they scaring me for? I bought like a T-shirt and a bumper sticker. But what I think could be is that if there's something there and there's something watching us from another dimension or from a perspective that we don't have, it could have been like, hey, that guy's interested in this stuff. Let's go check it out. Let's go check him out. Let's go take a look.
Yeah.
Or it's a coincidence.
Well, that goes to my antenna theory. It's like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Hey, you're open to like
Yes.
receiving signals from
Yes.
other dimensions, who
Yeah,
knows?
my friend, my buddy joked something followed us home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe not. The thing,
That's creepy.
actually the thing that I could most closely relate this account to was that it was like seeing an animal in the wild
Mm-hmm.
for like a brief moment before it scurried away. And you're like, oh my gosh, I just saw a mountain lion, or I saw a raccoon.
Right.
I mean, mountain lion is pretty cool to get excited about. A raccoon, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? It was almost like I was seeing something in its natural habitat even, and I interfered with it, and it ran away.
Yeah.
So that made me think, well, what if these creatures, these grays, if that's what it was, share our planet with us,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like an elf or a leprechaun in old folklore,
Mm-hmm.
and they are, or a Bigfoot, and they are just very good, or they have access to different planes of reality that we don't know about,
Yeah.
and they're really good at keeping themselves hidden,
Yeah.
and I just happened to catch one.
Yeah.
Or it was just kind of passing through our dimension and peered in the window and saw this really adorable and also crazy looking bulldog that it was like, what is that thing sleeping on that couch? Because
Yeah.
I think it was watching my dog. I think it heard. It may have been in my next door neighbor's house. I think, because if you know my dog, if you've ever spent the night at my house, first of all, congratulations. Secondly, my dog snores. That's why I tend to put him out in the living room, because he can snore so loud it wakes me up. So if it was a quiet night and you're walking past my building, you could hear my dog snoring through the window. And I bet that creature went, what is that sound? Looked in, saw this lump of squishy dog flesh sleeping on the couch. And I think he was just trying to figure out what that animal was.
I don't know.
And then I walked out and he took off.
I think that thing wanted you to see it.
Well,
That's a whole other. We
So,
keep saying that.
I know. So I don't know. I think it was probably, since I'm going to try to define what I saw, I think it was related to an alien gray, if not an alien gray, but I don't feel like it came from a spaceship. I feel like it was passing through my environment, our environment, either through a portal from another dimension, or it's here all the time and there are other things like it and we just don't typically see them.
On that note, we'll be back right after this.
Welcome back. Now it's time for Collector's Corner. Bryce and I are both collectors, and we collect more than just spooky stories. Since this is the Bigfoot Collectors Club, I wanted to ask you, Bryce, if there was anything you've collected recently that you wanted to share with the group.
Absolutely. First of all, I love toys, and I love collecting unique things. I refer to them as sometimes even almost talismans. I'm not sure if you're familiar
totally
with
get
that
it.
lexicon, but
Yeah.
it's things that I don't know. They can change your mood. They have energy. But anyway, what we're looking at right now is this is my Willow Creek Bigfoot statue, and I got this in the Bigfoot Museum right there in Willow Creek.
Do you know that both times I've been to Willow Creek, and I've been twice, the museum was closed?
Oh, like what the fuck?
One time I got in there too late, and the guy was like, locking up. And I
Lock-
was like,
oh, no, locking
okay."
up.
He was like, sorry, boys, locking up. And then the other time was
That might have been the guy that
there.
Patterson and Gimlin took the videotape to.
Probably.
Who owns it? I forget his name, but
Imagine if they got there when he was locking up. They would never, no one would have ever seen the footage.
locking up.
Locking up, sorry, boys. And then the second time I went, it was before the Bigfoot season started. And they just weren't open until May.
Yeah, no, that's bogus.
This
man.
guy's awesome. I love him.
Yeah, you know we
It's
actually
like a little wooden-ish, wooden sculpt. I mean, it's probably plaster, but it's meant to look like a wooden carving of a Sasquatch.
You know, we actually filmed there in Willow Creek, and they ended up not letting us use the footage. And it's like, hey, listen, there's not going to be very many movies coming through here doing a film called Willow Creek. Maybe this is the time to let us film in your Bigfoot museum. But
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie doesn't miss it, but that is true.
Yeah,
that there's,
so we were a
there's no
little
sign in the
disappointed, but we filmed in there anyway. And you know, this is a great story when there was a couple in there with us, and you know, and I was just holding the camera because it's like supposed to be from a documentarian's point of view. And so that other couple came out of the Bigfoot Museum, and our producer, Amy Pearson, she snagged him, and she's like, oh, can I get some release? And they're like, yeah, why? Oh, we're just filming a little independent film. Those are actors. And they're like, are you kidding? We thought they were married and like on their honeymoon or something. So we were like, oh, yeah. You know, it was so great.
We're so convincing.
We're so convincing. But I was really just a big happy kid walking through the
you
Bigfoot
can,
Museum.
and you can also tell that when you watch the movie, how much you're just kind of geeking out, talking to some of these real people about Bigfoot.
It's a cool place. If you haven't been, the whole town is just like, you know, it feeds off the Bigfoot community. And
I like this little guy.
But yeah, he's cool. What about you? Do you have anything here for Collector's Corner?
I didn't bring anything with me today.
You brought me this.
Oh, I did. This is pretty cool. Okay, this is true. This is from I have a little patch that I brought, like one you would sew on your backpack or iron on patch. It's a little circle that says, please protect cryptid wildlife. And there's a Sasquatch wearing a hat like Smokey the Bear standing in front of a forest.
It's amazing.
This is by a company, I believe, called Maiden Voyage Clothing Company. And I found this in a little gift shop in Topanga Canyon. But you can find their stuff online. I actually got one a couple for myself. One is a Flatwoods Monster.
Oh, nice.
Which I'm definitely going to tell that story on this podcast.
Yeah,
it's one of my all-time favorite cryptids. The Flatwoods Monster. It's so good. It's so weird.
Maybe
and then,
episode 2.
Maybe. And then I got another one that says Astral Traveler on it. And it's got a guy
that's great.
It's pretty cool.
That's great. Well, this is awesome. I'm a pin and patch guy, so this is great.
And that's for you to thank you for going on this adventure with me.
Yeah, man, and thank you for sharing your story, man.
Great.
I mean, I haven't told that story to anybody in a long time.
Yeah, man, I love it. I love it. And you know what?
Or seeing that picture of that tuna guy, and now I'm going to be thinking about him tonight.
That tuna devil's going to look at my window. Yeah, this has been great. Thank you so much, Bryce. And again, please tune in. This is our episode 0. You might be listening to this first, or we might release this down the line as a special episode for our listeners.
Halloween is right around the corner.
Yeah, let's join us every week. We're going to probably bring in some guests, and as we go on, we're going to share at least one story each week from paranormal history. So please stay tuned. But before we go, Bryce, where can people find you?
You can find me. I'm all over social media. I love Twitter at Bryce O. Johnson, or especially Instagram at Mr. Bryce Johnson. And how about you, Mike? Where can I find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at McMills. That's MCMILLZZ, 2 Z's. And and if do you have anything to plug real quick? You working on anything cool?
Yeah, you know, I actually, speaking of Bobcat, I just came from Atlanta and I did his True TV series. Bobcat Goldthwait's Misfits and Monsters.
Oh, wow, this sounds perfect.
It is going to be a killer. He wrote all of them. He's directing all of them. He's producing all of them. He's a one-man powerhouse.
And when and where is that airing?
I think it'll air next year on True TV, and it's an anthology series. So each one is its own little thing, like its own unique piece.
And is it paranormal stuff in there too?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like all kinds of cool stuff.
This sounds so cool.
Yeah, it's really rad.
Keep your eyes peeled for that. You can find me on season 3 of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And I mentioned my comic book, Lucid, earlier. You can find the graphic novel for that, and it deals with all this stuff.
It's incredible.
So, thank you, buddy.
And hate to leave the audiences hanging. I think on another episode, we will call my mom and see what her recollection of that story is.
Sure.
Because maybe there's some missing details.
Yeah, we'll give her a heads up,
and
we'll make that call. And you can find Bigfoot Collectors Club on social media with these plugs.
Check us out on Instagram at Bigfoot Collectors Club and on Twitter at Bigfoot_C Club. And our music is from the song Come Alone by Suneaters, courtesy of Lotuspool Records.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of great stuff coming.
No doubt about it. This is Bryce and Michael signing out.
Peace.